Right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to
Good morning.
the Narrajelt MyShare event. I'm Lee McDowell, the president of the Nara chapter of JELT, of course, JELT, Japan Association of Language Teachers. And it's my great pleasure to welcome you all here this morning for our event. We have 22 people joining us today, which is wonderful. A lot of NARA members, a lot of local members, and a few from around Japan. We've got some from Osaka and Kobe. Maybe not everyone's here at the moment, probably still coming, but we're on 10 o'clock. We're on Japan time, so starting exactly 10 o'clock. And yes, welcome everyone. We've actually got a few members from overseas as well, which is great. You know, I guess one of the good points about having online online events is that we can include people from outside of Japan. And so welcome to everyone. This is the first live event that we've done in over 12 months. We've had events in 2020, but they were recorded online events. And so this is the first time that we've had a live event for a long time. And it's very good to have you all joining us to get together today, almost like the real thing. But as I said, sometimes even better because we can have people coming from further afield, and you can do it in your pajamas, although probably not a good idea. So yes, I just want to say welcome to everyone and thank you for joining us for this event. The MyShare event has been a long-running event for Narrajelt, and it's a great practical forum for sharing language teaching ideas. And it's exciting. We have four separate presentations today. And I am going to hand over now to our event leader, who's going to introduce the speakers and tell us a little bit about what we need to do for the discussions and keep us all on track. So good morning, Robert.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Lee. So as presenters have been informed, you have 20 minutes. At the 15-minute mark, I'll give you okay, to let you know that you've got 5 minutes left. And at the 20-minute mark, I'm sorry, I'll just have to cut you off because if you go over time, this whole event is going to take longer than we really want. There will then be a 10-minute Q&A session. So if you would like to add your questions during the presentation in the chats part of Zoom, then please add your questions there. If not, just when it's time for the Q&A, we'll just have a free-for-all, and I'll cut everyone off at the 10-minute mark. We'll then have a 5-minute break for the next presenter to get ready and to allow participants to go to the bathroom, get a cup of coffee, etc. Presentation. Okay. So as everyone probably knows, there are now many online tools available to teachers to assist with language learning and classroom management. So some of these tools you have to buy them, either it's a one-time payment or they're subscription-based, and some are free. Our next presenter, Rachel Patterson from Berlitz and Kindai University Language Center, will share with us her experiences with using one such tool called Padlet. Now, personally, it's a tool that I'm not familiar with, so it'll be interesting to see how it can assist with language teaching and classroom management. So, Rachel, your time begins from now.
Thank you, Robert. Good morning. My name is Rachel, and I am with the Kindai University Faculty of International Studies in partnership with Berlitz, and I'm going to introduce Padlet today. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so this presentation is partially me introducing Padlet and also showing some examples of how our teachers used it during the 2020 and 2021 semesters. And then after that, I would like for us to kind of use Padlet to see what it's like. If you've used it before, fantastic. This will be a review. And if you haven't before, you'll get a chance to see what our students experienced when using this online tool. So just a little bit of quick background information. I apologize for for arriving a little late. So just a little self-intro here. Again, my name is Rachel Patterson. I'm the Assistant Academic Director at Kindai University, the ELS Study Abroad program specifically, and we work with the Faculty of International Studies to prepare first-year students to study abroad. As you can probably imagine, our students did not study abroad this year or the previous year, and so we had to scramble to find some online tools and online platforms to help them continue their English studies in spite of all of the different challenges we faced. I've been teaching EFL for about 8 years and specifically in Japan for 6 years. And my hobbies are playing guitar, wood burning, and studying Japanese when I do find free time. So I would like to talk a little bit about what Padlet is in case you're not familiar. Padlet, if you can imagine, is kind of like a digital cork board where users can share posted content. They can create the content themselves, or they can copy or post content from other places as well. And for us, we used it specifically to help with kind of classroom management and doing online classroom activities during the 2020 and 2021 semester. So teachers can post announcements, assignments, give prompts, and give feedback on student work. Students can also post their work. They can also collaborate, they can be creative, and they can share and respond to ideas. And Padlet's really great because it has a variety of layouts and features that can make online classes more engaging, as opposed to the more kind of top-down or the more, like presentation-based Zoom lessons. A little bit more about Padlet. There is a free version, and for that you get 3 Padlets, or 3 digital corkboards. After 3, it will not allow you to create any more. And there is a paid version as well, which allows you to have unlimited Padlets. I'm not exactly sure of the price. I think the last time I checked, it was, I think, $8.95 US per year, but please don't quote me on that. I haven't checked recently. What's great about Padlet is that you can also limit user access. So unlike other online platforms or social media sites like Twitter and things like that, you can limit who has access to your Padlet, and it's only available to those you share the link with. So teachers can create a Padlet, share the link with the students. The students can then access it and post texts, images, videos, audio recordings, and all kinds of other things like that. For our program, we found it most useful. We found it very useful for teaching pretty much all of the levels, even beginners. And I'll show you an example a little bit later. Students, again, can access the platform from any device, whether they're using a smartphone, a tablet, or a PC. And I'm not sure about smartphones and how many kinds of things you can post using smartphones, but with PC, you can post, like I said, videos, audio, text, messages, things like that. Okay, so I'll show you a more specific example of what our teachers did. Before that, I'll show you some of the different kinds of layouts that we have in Padlet that we used. The most common one that we used was the wall and the stream. The stream is really useful because it mimics, or it's very similar to things like Facebook, Instagram, a lot of social media sites that students are already very good at using and very used to using. And so students can post content and scroll through, teachers can post things and scroll through, and it makes it really useful for communicating in an online environment. We also use the shelf layout as well for kind of a daily assignment and daily classroom posts and things like that. But there's some other really great ones as well that I haven't tried personally that I would like to in the future. So for example, the map and the timeline are something I've always wanted to try. And if you have before, please let me know and how that worked for you. But those are some of the other layouts that you can use when creating your Padlet. It might take a little while to figure out which one works best for your class. So I recommend if you start or create a Padlet, just try a few and see what you can do with them, and then pick the one that works best for you. And also, just as a side note, I am in no way, shape, or form paid or sponsored by Padlet. This is just me showing my, just kind of telling about how my experience was with using this, this online tool. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples now that teachers used Padlet, how teachers use Padlet in their classrooms. This teacher, this is just a screenshot, but this teacher was using Padlet for a reading and writing class, specifically reading a graded reader together as a group. And so the students were assigned an online graded reader. And then after each chapter, the assignment was to post a video reaction to each chapter. So the teacher started with an example reaction, posting, and I can't play the video, unfortunately, this one's no longer available, so I do apologize. But the teacher would post his video reaction, and the students would post their reactions after that to each chapter. There are also some activities and some reading comprehension check questions and things like that, that the students would then read and post, and that would allow the teacher to check to see if the students had been reading, had been absorbing the material, and were answering the questions within a certain amount of time. So first, let's look at some student dialogues that a teacher used for a vocabulary and speaking class. Okay. All right. So this is an example of a Padlet that a teacher created. I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit so you can see here more. And I'm going to scroll to the bottom to show where the original post started, and then I'll work my way up.
Can't see.
Okay. Oh, you can't see?
No,
My apologies. Okay.
Rachel, your screen has stopped moving. Maybe your screen is moving for you, but we just get the screen and your cursor doesn't move. Or there you go. It's working now.
Does this work now? I do apologize about that. Okay. All right. Is that clear? Do you all see a yellow screen with pink donuts?
And donuts.
Okay,
I see
fantastic.
Donuts, definitely pink.
Fantastic. Donuts. All right. All right. Now we're back in the game. Okay. So this class was a speaking and vocabulary class. Mainly, this class is designed for students to practice pragmatics, where they have to deal with certain situations and they have to use language and phrases they study in class in order to kind of simulate interactions that they might encounter when they study abroad. So this teacher created a scenario and posted it, and the students had 20 minutes in Zoom to join a Padlet, create a dialogue, work together in pairs, and then they had to act out the dialogue in Zoom in breakout rooms. So for example, here we have, you're hanging out at a popular cafe, you see your favorite celebrity. Maybe that's not realistic, but the celebrity is enjoying coffee with his or her friends, and you want to ask that celebrity for a photograph or an autograph. So the students would then have to create a role play, rehearse, and then perform it. So here is an example of the rubric that the students would have a copy of or have access to know what they're being assessed on. And then after they work together in pairs, they create the dialogue here. So here's an example of one dialogue that students created. And then they can post the dialogue, and teachers can then go back and add feedback, correct any mistakes, correct any errors or things like that. And it really allows the students a way to collaborate together and still build the skills that they would otherwise be able to, that they can't do in an in-person environment. Okay, so after they rehearse the dialogue, they go into breakout rooms, they perform it, and then the teacher would give them a score and then and provide feedback on what they did. So that's just one example that teachers used in using Padlet. Another example that I'm going to show you is from a presentations class that a teacher was teaching for an intermediate level. So these are beginners, by the way. I should have mentioned that earlier. These are, I would like to say A2, maybe upper A2 beginners. This group are B1 And this again was for a presentations class. And so I'll kind of walk you through how the teacher set up this Padlet. This is in the grid style. And basically, he just started with the goals for the day, any assignments that the student had to do or upcoming presentations that were assigned to the class, and the instructions that for that assignment. And then the students would take the instructions, work together in Zoom, create their presentations, and then present in Zoom. So not so much like students posting here, but just a way for teachers to get information out to all of the students in his class in an easy, in a fast and quick manner. So one thing that I really liked about this Padlet was the presentation reflections that I'm showing here. And after the students did their presentations, the students were then tasked to post their responses onto Padlet. So what are some of the topics? What were some of the topics from your peers that caught your attention? Why were they effective? What was something that you think they could have improved upon? And then the students would then respond to their peers' presentation. So it's a really great platform for peer feedback as well, so that the students can then post their responses and the students can read their peer review from their classmates. And you can also like or heart some of the posts as well. So that's also an option as well. Okay, and so the last example that I want to show is from a journal, a writing class that one of our teachers had. Our writing class, in this writing class, the teacher posted daily journals that the students had to respond to. He would post daily journal prompts and the students would post their responses to it. Okay, so for this one, this is an advanced group and the teacher posted daily topics, and these were kind of abstract, and he wanted to see where the students could go with these abstract topics, or sorry, these very general broad topics, not abstract. But for example, the first day was circles, the next day was triangles, the next day was squares, and each student had to post what the shape meant in their life, or how they observed the shape in their daily environment and things like that. So one thing I really liked about one thing I'll kind of point out here was is for the topic of triangles. Students wrote about things that they could see in their daily life, like food, the shapes of chips, pyramids, all kinds of things that they could see using triangles. And the teacher would then give feedback about their writing, style, choice of style, vocabulary, grammar, that sort of thing. Students also wrote a little bit about, here she wrote about being in band club or being in the brass band club and playing the triangle and how that kind of evoked that memory. This student wrote about how triangles occur naturally, or she first thought that triangles were an unnatural shape and didn't occur in nature. And then after doing some more, doing a little more observation, she found several examples of how triangles occur in nature. This student also wrote about food, how we eat, slices of cake and pies and pastries that are usually in the shapes of triangles. And this student I thought was really, had a really interesting post. He wrote about the difference between the hanging straps in trains. Some are circular shaped and some are triangular shaped. And he did a deep dive as to why that's the case. And through his research, he actually found that the triangular shaped handles are easier for elderly passengers to grip. And he didn't know that before really looking into the subject. And so after he did a little research, he posted how the triangular shapes are better for elderly passengers to hold on to. And he even posted a link to an article linking to this to this research. And so we also kind of use it to branch students into the academic side of doing research, posting it, and making sure you cite your sources. Not exactly a perfect execution, but something that was really great for students to do using this platform. And again, students can read other posts and comment on them as well. Okay. So I'm going to now switch over to a Padlet that I have created, and I would really like for us to try out Padlet. I'm going to, let's see, show a link, and I'll post it in the chat as well. And I would like for us to access the Padlet and post our response to the question I have created there. Okay, can everyone see my slide? I'm going to post this link to the chat. Oh, first, so far, before any questions or anything like that? I kind of went pretty quickly. So
only about 3 minutes left, by the way.
Oh, I do? Okay. All right, so. Okay, here we go. All right. And the password is Narajalt. It's all one word. In lowercase. Lee, I just saw your question about wood burning. And I'll show you a quick example here.
I'm not getting in. Is the password working for people?
Yeah, I think the password doesn't work for me either. Nara, Jelt, all lowercase,
Okay.
all one word.
Okay.
Password incorrect.
Okay. Let me double check that. That might be on my end. Oh, I apologize. I got confused. It should be Jaltnara.
Jaltnara.
Sorry.
Jaltnara.
Jaltnara.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, that's working.
Okay, phew. So Lee, I think you asked about wood burning. This is just an example of.
I see. And now I understand. Right.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I have a few more of these, but.
I suppose everything. What your own question? You answer at least one.
Is everyone able to access the website okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this would be a mock assignment that, or an example of an assignment that I would post for one of my classes. And this is just to kind of get everyone kind of like a rapport builder, or maybe a review of some key phrases that we studied in the previous lesson. And here. So I'm not sure if you can see on my screen. If you aren't familiar with Padlet, these are some of the options you can use as well. You can require approval. So if you have some students who like to push buttons and test the ropes, you can require a moderator to approve all posts. You can also set a filter for profanity as well, which is really nice. You can decide how posts appear, whether they're first or last. You can add comments, or you can take away comments depending on what kind of post you want to assign or create. You can design color scheme, font, wallpaper, all kinds of little unique things that can help you differentiate different classes, which is also important, but also to kind of give that little.
Rachel, I have to stop you there.
Sure.
20 minutes is up, and I'm sure a lot of participants have questions about this. It seems quite an interesting tool. So I'm going to open it up now for 10 minutes of Q&A. So please, anyone, there are no questions in the chat. So anyone has a question, please start now. Just go for it. questions, please?
Paul, hi.
Yeah, Lee?
Hey, Rachel. Thanks for your
Yes.
presentation. Just a question. Can students also upload videos, for example, videos of themselves presenting to the app?
So for one teacher, yes, he had videos that the students were required to post like a video reaction to book chapters of a book that they were reading together in a reading class. And so if the student posted the video, that kind of counted as their participation grade for the day. And then also it was a great way for the teacher to, or for the student to practice speaking. A lot of our students want to do things like become Instagram influencers or to become social media experts and things like that. And so being able to have a platform where they can practice posting videos and content in a second language was something that he kind of provided a platform for.
Thanks. So students could potentially upload videos of themselves presenting to the app.
Yes.
Would there be any limit to the length of the presentation?
That's a really good question. I'm not entirely sure. I imagine you probably can't post very lengthy videos or very bandwidth heavy videos, especially if you're using the free version. If you use the unlimited version, and I don't know this, so I do apologize, but I imagine that you can probably post heavier or like longer videos or longer audio clips. But I'll look into that, and if I can try and find out for you.
Thanks.
Lee, you had a question.
Yeah. Yes, I think I have my hand up, and you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was curious how you came across Padlet, because like this time last year, or yeah, a bit earlier, when the pandemic first set in, we were all scrambling to try and find a good solution for our online what was then called emergency remote teaching situation. I came across Google Classroom, Slack, and Zoom were the three tools that kept coming up again and again and again. And sort of Google Classroom became the standard for me now. And I'm just curious, how did you come across Padlet? Because it never actually registered for me. And then how, if you're able to compare the two, for example, with Google Classroom.
So I came across Padlet, to answer your first question. I came across Padlet through this person here, and I'm not sure if can you see my screen?
Yep.
His name is Russell Stannard. He has a huge YouTube channel, a large YouTube channel, a lot of following, and he focuses on online teaching and teacher training. And he has tons of videos on different platforms. So things like Skype, Zoom, Google Classroom as well. I don't personally have a lot of experience using Google Classroom. Our program focuses more on using Microsoft-based products. So I can't answer I don't know how to compare it to Google Classroom very well. But one of the videos I came across was using Padlet to do more student-centered learning and to have a way for students to post content and give feedback in an easy way. So that's how I came across this video or this platform. Just one day, just trying to find resources that we could use that were relatively inexpensive and didn't sell a lot of data, a lot of personal information and data to the highest bidder. So Padlet is one of those websites that kind of fit into that little model. And ever since I've been using it. I used it a little bit in a few of my classes, but a lot of our teachers went and got their own personal paid version or use it just for their own use for their classes.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask, Rachel, is it something that you would use during class, or is it something that works really well for students to do outside of class, or?
Both. I know that teachers, I used it usually at the end of class, some kind of like an exit ticket or like a final roundup of the class where students would post what they learned or what they took away from classes. Some teachers have used them during class. So at the very beginning, they pull up the Padlet, they share their screen on Zoom. It's got all of the daily goals. They've posted their the assignments and the workbook pages and the homework so that it's all in one place. And because it's a link, students can access it at any time. So if a student is absent or misses class due to illness or something like that, they can always go to the Padlet and find out what they missed, what they need to catch up on, or still participate in some way. One of the questions I think was, what is the time it took to create one of these Padlets? For me, honestly, registering the count probably takes the longest amount of time, and it's not that long. You just, register your email address and username, and then you can open the Padlet. If you're like me and you fuss with all of the, design and little things, then it could take you a little bit longer. But for me, I would say for setting up a general class, putting the goals, putting the assignments, putting the homework and the task of the day, I would say it took me no more than maybe 20 minutes maximum. And, students were able to use it very quickly. Even like I said, my lower levels were able to jump in and use it because it's so similar to the social media sites that they're already using. Any other questions?
Anyone have any more questions? We have 3 more minutes of Q&A left for this session.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Motoko, go ahead. Motoko-sensei, go ahead.
Well, I just really wanted to ask a student reaction. So what kind of reaction you received from student, low level and high level?
Positive. We never had any negative reactions. It was something that students were able to, like I said, they were able to adapt and use it very quickly. It was something that they're using online platforms in English. So that was something that was very unique for them. They had not done before. It was something where they could, again, post their own ideas, respond to each other, especially in a time where they're not able to interact face-to-face. So that was kind of like a way for them to connect and build rapport and to learn about one another in a way that they wouldn't have been able to do because of the pandemic.
Yeah, thank you.
Georgie, you had a question?
Yeah. How do you evaluate students' performance? I mean, can you download the students' writing?
So I don't know if we can download the students' writing. We didn't do it that way. The teacher would just read, and then if, for things like more, what's the word I'm looking for? For writing assignments that were more weighted, the teachers would just have the students email them essays or email, graded assessment. So we didn't, I don't have an answer to how we assessed those types of writing assignments. But for example, the dialogue, the vocabulary dialogue assignment, that was assessed with a rubric, and then the teacher would send the students their scores either through the chat in Zoom or through email.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Is it something your teachers will continue to use now that you're back in the classroom, do you think?
Yes, actually, so some of us, we had done face-to-face lessons earlier. They got canceled because of Osaka having high case numbers, but the teachers in their in-person classes were using Padlet, and students were on their phones putting in, inputting text and sharing videos and things like that, sharing content. And the teachers were able to flexibly use Padlet both in person as well as online. So that's a really great reason also to use Padlet, is if you suddenly have to go online, there's no huge shift that you have to do, regarding how you can manage your classroom that way.
Okay, if there are no more questions, there's only 30 seconds left. So if there are no more questions, then I think we'll stop it there. And thank you, Rachel, for that interesting presentation. Very informative.
Thank you.
Closing remarks.
Yes, and thank you again, Libby, and to all the presenters today. It was very interesting and very informative, and really great to be back in a group together, although it's remote. We're not in the same room, but this has certainly much better than nothing, isn't it? So thank you again to all the presenters for your time, for your efforts. I mean, traditionally after our event, we'd go out and have a nice lunch. Actually, Nara Gelt in April, we'd probably go out into the park. It's always a nice place, and have a little picnic in the Nara Park. But unfortunately, we have to still be patient with that. But as I said, I mean, at least we can have this kind of interaction, which is very valuable for me, and I think I can speak for all of us. So thank you, presenters. Thank you also to the officers. There's a lot of effort that goes into these events, a lot of time, and thank you to everyone involved there. And also to participants for joining us today from near and far. It's really good to see you all, to have you all here with us, and we look forward to more participation in the future. I don't have the next event to announce, but you'll be in our network, and you'll be finding out shortly when our next event is on, and then we look forward to seeing your faces again, probably online for some time, but hopefully in the not too distant future, we'll be able to get back together again in the same room. I think we'll still actually, after 2020, I think we'll still keep that online element to be able to have people like Gina's coming from Chicago, which is really a new, I guess, a new adventure for Nara Gelt, to be able to welcome people from overseas and all over the world. It's great. So once again, thank you to everyone. And I'm going to leave this meeting open just for a little bit more, and ask the officers to stay on. But if you're quite welcome to continue the chats here. But I'll close this MyShare Nara Gelt event by once again saying thank you very much, and see you next time.